I mean, come on, man, you know the thing. Who else is a more patriotic American than these fine folks? I mean, other than maybe Colonel Sanders, because his chicken is tinger flicking good. Or finger sticking good. I mean, come on, man, you know the thing. They're definitely better than that Bernie Sanders guy. Can you believe I beat that guy in an election? I am Joe Biden, Bo Jiden. As the President of America, I just want to say Jim Jar are cool cats. I am Joe Biden, Bo Jiden. I mean, come on, man, you know the thing. Anyways, I gotta go. I have to go to deliver some tanks or something to that President Zelensky guy. Peace out, hooliganies.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know what day it is. I think it's Thursday. It is Thursday. How are you guys all doing today? Who we got in the comments section? We got Warren, two of my favorite ladies. Let's go. That's right. John, good to see you. Les Bones, what's up? Rick, hey. Good afternoon, you guys. Yeah, so today's exciting. Anthony, what's up? Good to see you. Today I've got I actually got Misty on today. She's only going to be able to get on for about a half an hour. She'll be here in about a half an hour. She'll be on for about a half an hour because in half an hour after that, she has another interview to hop on to. So I get her for 30 minutes today. Yay. So we're going to be talking about the Free Julian Assange event that she's having on April 11th, which is the anniversary of him getting detained. He is, as of now, still in a UK jail. His health is deteriorating immensely. People are out there just, working their little butts off trying to get him freed because he kind of sets that precedence. If something happens to him, it sets a precedence for journalism and free speech and freedom of press and stuff for the future. So I'm excited to really talk about this and get into it. I'm really, really excited. This is kind of the stuff that I really enjoy doing, is the freedom of the press kind of stuff, being able to say things without censorship. All of that. Okay, still all of you guys. What's up, everybody? Let's see. What have I been doing? I didn't do too much yesterday. Played some video games with my friends. Just one of my friends. You gotta love Miss Sally. She's like the greatest person ever. She is always there to play games when you're ready to play games, and she's great. She's like she's like my mom. If me and my mom got along a little bit better, if I didn't have the past trauma with my mom, and me and my mom were always cool, that's how me and Sally are. She's like my mom that I've always wanted. So she's awesome. She's great. She's a school bus teacher in Alabama, and I love her to death. So yeah, that's Miss Sally. That's what I did pretty much yesterday. Just played some games, hung out with the kiddos. The kids watched a movie. I think they watched the Scooby-Doo movie or something like that. So yeah, that's all I did yesterday. I didn't do too much. Got some good sleep. No rain, no snow yesterday, so it's nice and sunny. Finally got my little walkway dug out to my laundry room so I can start doing laundry this week. I'm excited. So I might start it either today or tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. I'm like looking at the pile right there, like, oh God, it's so much. But I need to get some blankets washed for sure because my sister's dog is still here and he likes to pee on everything. So I'm down to one blanket on my bed because he keeps peeing every time I leave the room. Like if I just leave him in the room and I go and make myself a cup of coffee, he'll pee on my bed. It's ridiculous. I once he's gone, I'm buying a whole new bed. I'm not even joking. Like it's serious. So I get to do some laundry. I need to clean some blankets because it's starting to get cold. It is cold at nighttime because my heater only runs when you put it on. So if it doesn't run all day long, then no heat all day long. So yeah, mountain life things you have to do, man. It's like you have to do one thing to make sure the other thing works. And if you do too many things at once, everything shuts down. It's nuts. Mountain living is crazy. Hey, Cave Socialist, here for a short time. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, good to see you. I've got like I was saying earlier, we got Misty on today for about a half an hour. So yeah, I wanted to get started. Do I have anything else? No, I think that was it. Oh yeah, my sister's dog. So really quick, my sister, I'm so excited. Like I'm on a countdown mode. My sister's in escrow right now. And from I think last Friday, so a week ago, we had a 30-day countdown. And then my sister's gonna get her house back. And then we get rid of my sister's dog. I'm so stoked. I am so stoked to be getting rid of that ugly ass little mofo. Good Lord. Good Lord. I cannot wait. So yeah, like 3 more weeks, pretty much 3.5 more weeks at the most, maybe another month at the most, depending on how this escrow shit goes. I don't know how this stuff goes because I've never bought a house before. But yeah, in that amount of time, I'm so excited. No more dog, no more Dodger. Oh, he's such a pain in the ass. I swear, like any little thing happens and that dog will bark like crazy. And Lady doesn't bark too much. I mean, she barks, but she's pretty tame about it because it annoys the shit out of me when they just bark out of nowhere because it scares me. But Dodger's not my dog. So Dodger's not used to it. And so Dodger will bark at everything. And then that instigates Lady. And then that's it. And it's just one little thing that Lady needs to be instigated about, and she'll just start barking, and it drives me crazy because he'll just bark really quick, and I won't even notice that he's doing that, and all of a sudden she'll just start barking, and she's usually right here next to me, and she's right in my ear. So yeah, that's that problem. So wait, you have Misty? Good Lord, must tell Lula. Yeah, I got Misty on today, only for about 30 minutes. Just enough to get her event out there so that way y'all can know about what's going on next week as well. So I do not hate dogs. I just hate Dodger. Just Dodger himself. That's it. That's the only man. I love him to death. He's a great dog, but man, is he a pain in my ass, and I hate him too. So we have this love-hate relationship. It's not dogs in general. I love dogs. I love cats a little more, but I do love me some dogs. It's just my sister's dog. Just that one. Just Dodger. Just that one. And he's a Shih Tzu too. So, like it's that breed. That breed is just horrible. So, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Shih Tzus or been around Shih Tzus, but man, oh man. And I think he's like what were they calling him? Like a Shidoodle or something like that, because he's like a Shih Tzu, but he's got this curly white hair, so it kind of looks like a poodle look. So he's like, the shape of a Shih Tzu, but the hair is kind of like a poodle hair. So, so we call him a Shidoodle or something like that. I don't even know what we called him. It was something with shit or poop or something like that. Oh, poor guy, poor kid, poor animal. Why are you always lying? Can you get tired of your own pet? Yeah, I think you can. If you really love your pet, I'm pretty sure you can get tired, but then like the next minute you're just like, oh, okay, I love you. No. I love you too much. So yeah. Okay, so hey Warren. All right, so we've got about 20 more minutes until she hops in, and I do want to showcase a couple of things that I found, which is, starting to become or starting to be brought into the news, which is interesting. So I wanted to show these before she gets on, so we kind of get a little bit of a head start on the things. So this was just from 3 days ago. Marjorie Taylor Greene calls for acquittal of Julian Assange after Rashida Tlaib rouses the bipartisan push for Julian Assange release. So this is kind of a bipartisan thing that's going on, which is kind of exciting to see. I hate Marjorie Taylor Greene, but at least she's out there doing the good deeds.
Underway. Representative against WikiLeaks' Julian Assange is underway. Representative Rashida Tlaib is sending a letter to her House colleagues that calls on the Department of Justice to drop charges against Julian Assange and end its effort to extradite him from his detention in Belmarsh prison in the UK. The Justice Department has charged Assange, who is the publisher of WikiLeaks, for publishing classified information.
Now, that letter, a copy of which was obtained by The Intercept, is in the signature gathering phase and has not yet been sent to Attorney General Merrick Garland. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted this weekend, "I'm calling for the release of Julian Assange. His charges should be dropped. The United States of America must defend the First Amendment and protect freedom of the press. It's one of the greatest freedoms any nation can have." So here is a situation, the kind of thing we cover here on this show that I think would be baffling to many mainstream people. Here you have a left progressive Democrat, Rashida Tlaib, disliked by Republicans, and you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, arch conservative, Trumpy Republican who mainstream Democrats think is crazy. Both agree, free Julian Assange, which is something that libertarians have been talking about this, socialists have been talking about this, people who still respect the First Amendment and free speech in mainstream circles, although I think that's a shrinking number, unfortunately. Free Julian Assange. There is here's a good.
It's kind of a good, it's kind of good news to see that both sides are doing it. Like when we ultimately say bipartisan issues, they're usually bipartisan issues because they're like trying to pass a bill or a legislation that benefits them or their CEOs and stuff. And so they're like, oh, this is bipartisan. This is really good news. We're working together to make sure that the regular people are taken care of, even though it's something for, corporate business CEOs. But to see at least a bipartisan issue on something that actually is going to eventually benefit, our First Amendment right here in America, at least, to see the bipartisan agreement with both of that. This is something that the news is, should be talking about. That is newsworthy, a bipartisan, and I'm pretty sure if we watch mainstream news, all we're going to see is, one side saying, oh my God, Marjorie Taylor Greene's wanting to see the release of, Julian Assange, which is horrible. He's they call him a traitor, even though he's not like an American. So, and then it's just the mainstream media, like I'm pretty sure I saw Tucker Carlson saying that he didn't want Julian Assange free while Trump was in jail or was in presidency. But now that it's Biden, I can probably assume that Tucker is out there saying that they need to release him. So it's just interesting to see, like, when it comes to benefiting corporate CEOs and stuff, the media is up in a hoopla about bipartisan bills. But when it comes to actually benefiting the people and what the people want, which is freeing Julian Assange so we can make sure that the precedence is set for free speech and freedom of press, you don't see too much about it. I mean, the main thing that I'm noticing, obviously, is we're watching it on Rising. So that just goes to show that, the media is not really too big on, benefiting what people want. They just really want what their CEOs want.
It's just not the kind of bipartisan.
Hey, Brandy, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. And Lula, good to see you. Thank you for coming by.
That elite voices think is good.
Yeah, I mean, you love to see it, right? I mean, you love to see this kind of thing, left and right coming together over something as important as the First Amendment. And honestly, what is more important than the First Amendment? It remains to be seen whether Marjorie Taylor Greene intends to sign on to Rashida Tlaib's letter. I really hope she does, and that this isn't an attempt to sort of steal the thunder and start her own initiative. It's really a moment in which I really hope we're going to see some bipartisan support for this, because this is extremely important. It is a huge violation of the First Amendment that you can even be charged with the Espionage Act. I just don't see how there's any debate around this, and it's disheartening that there does seem to be a debate about this. Yeah. That President Trump didn't free Julian Assange or cancel the extradition order, and that there is still this effort to penalize him for what was essentially essentially effectively an act of speech. So it's just great to see this effort. Kudos to Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, I don't say that a lot, for starting it. And I hope to see Marjorie Taylor Greene sign on to that letter and bring along with her all of the influence she has in her party, which is non-negligible at this point.
It's always worth.
I mean, and yeah, that's exactly what it is right now. As of right now, it's just a letter. It's not like it's, anything enormous like a legislation or a bill that needs to get, brought up to debate and then vote for or anything like that. So, but at least it's getting started and at least it's showing some kind of bipartisan stuff. So this was actually just came out, I believe, 2 days ago. And this is really, really awesome to see. Piers Morgan actually interviews the parent or the father and the brother of Julian Assange in this interview, which is insanely amazing.
Drop the charges.
The maximum jail sentence of 175 years.
Well, I'm joined now by Julian's father, John Shipton, and his brother, Gabriel Shipton, who've made that new documentary film on their fight to secure Julian Assange's release, along with security and terrorism expert Will Geddes. So welcome to all of you. Thank you very much to the Shiptons who are joining me from America. Let me start with you, John Shipton. You're Julian's dad. It must be, regardless of the debate that we're about to have about this, incredibly tough for a father to see a son, a child, incarcerated for so long without any apparent conclusion to these legal proceedings in Belmarsh, which I've been to, which is one of the toughest prisons in the country.
I gotta give it to him as well. Like bringing his dad and his brother on is definitely, for people that are watching that don't really know too much about the whole Julian Assange thing. This is a really good way to normalize Julian Assange, turn him into a family man, to show that, he's not just some robot guy who's out there, releasing leaked documents and videos and stuff. Like, he's a family man. He's a human being who has a life. I'm always going to, and I always do repeat that word, Sonder, Sonder. Every single human being has a unique experience in life that nothing about. And that's what Julian Assange is. And seeing the Piers Morgan bringing his family onto there, kind of, turning him into showing people that he's a family man and he has a family. I really, really appreciate him for that. Hey, Steve, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Oh, Piers, it's very difficult. And the circumstances of Julian's declining health make the matter dire and critical.
John, how often do you speak to your son?
Julian has allowed a 10-minute phone call to me daily. I haven't spoken today, but the day before yesterday, we had a 10-minute conversation.
How is he? How would you categorize his state of mind?
Well, it goes up and down. Generally, not good, but as we report upon the journey across the United States and the enthusiasm with which we're greeted, this is heartening for Julian and lifts his spirits considerably.
It's interesting, John. I've been a journalist for more than 3 decades. I've run big newspapers in the UK. I've covered this story, obviously, extensively. And I watched the movie the other day again in preparation for this interview, actually, just to remind myself of the whole story as it all played out. And a large part of me has a lot of sympathy for what Julian Assange did. He exposed some really serious things, and he did it in a fearless way. There's no question of that. But a part of me also, when I was reminded of this, felt that his actions in the way he did it could well be categorized as reckless. Just putting everything out there seemed to me something which, for example, as an editor of a newspaper, we would never have been able to do. Did you, when you saw what he did you have qualms as his father that particular action in just putting it all out was something that was always going to get him into this kind of trouble?
Oh, Piers, first place, I have to accept your assertion that just putting it all out, which is, if you forgive me for saying so quite directly, incorrect. There were 100 media partners with Julian, each of them responsible for a particular area. All of this was covered in the hearing, the redactions. The ultimate release of all of the cables unredacted was done by Kryptone.org, a John Young site in New York.
And the answer to that question just goes to show that the people that are trying to get Julian Assange in trouble for all of this just want to do it to make a name for Julian Assange. You make a statement about him saying that if you show our war crimes, then you're going to be in trouble. you know, not even fully recognizing the fact that it wasn't just Julian Assange. His dad even just said that there were multiple people working underneath him. It was a journalist company. I remember even the Wall Street Journal, I believe, is the one that released the leaked videos as well. And you don't see anyone, well, except for the guy that's being held up in Russia right now. You don't see anyone else being held, you know, in contempt because of, you know, in the Wall Street Journal or Washington Post. I don't remember which one it was, but there was a news outlet. I think it was the Wall Street Journal that released those videos and stuff. So you don't even see anything like that. They're just trying to make a statement against Julian Assange to warn and scare journalists into not giving out free, you know, not taking on their free speech rights, freedom of press, being able to show people, you know, because they might say, you know, it was a danger and it was dangerous to people to show those videos. I think John Bolton even said something about that it was dangerous. Who cares? Like, this is what we need to know, that you guys are out there doing these war crimes. We need to know this. This is important because you're doing things that are illegal to fulfill the oligarchy's destiny or whatever they feel like they need, you know, their strategy. So it's just so gross to me to see what they're doing to Assange when there's so many other journalists and press out there that, you know, did do the same thing and they're not doing anything, and then that are kowtowing to what the government is telling them to do, and they're the ones that are getting big. It's gross.
Gabriel, Julian's your half brother. You've made this film, you guys, because you're desperate to try and get him out, I guess, of prison. How is that going? What reaction are you getting, particularly in America?
Well, we're getting very emotional reactions here in the US where...
I saw a name I didn't see before either. John Luna. Nice to meet you. Thanks for stopping by and coming on to hang out with us today.
About halfway through a 59 event tour around the United States, people are enraged when they realize what's going on, how their rights are at stake in Julian's persecution. People, after we do showings, people come up to us and say, you know, thank you for doing this. Thank you for standing up for our First Amendment in the United States. So it's really breathtaking that audiences around the US are really beginning to understand what's at stake for them in this case, their democratic right to know what governments do in their name.
You know, recently, back in October, I interviewed John Bolton. He was former US National Security Advisor, of course, and he said this to me.
Here it is.
He's committed clear criminal activity. He's no more a journalist than the chair I'm sitting on. The information that he divulged did, in fact, put many people in jeopardy. It undercut the ability of the United States to have confidential diplomatic communications, and I hope he gets at least 176 years in jail for
that. Is so goddamn wrong what he says.
Confidential diplomatic communications, and I
like. Hold on, wait, let me back it up a little bit.
Than the chair I'm sitting on. The information that he divulged did, in fact, put many people in jeopardy.
Okay, so the information that he divulged did, in fact, put people in jeopardy. As if our military-industrial complex doesn't put people in jeopardy every single damn day. We just talked about this earlier this week about the CCP and how we're wanting to arrest Putin for war crimes and stuff. We don't acknowledge the CC. Wait, that's the Chinese the ICC. God, so many letters. That we don't recognize the ICC when it comes to our war crimes. So I love how he's sitting here saying that that Julian Assange put multiple people in danger by releasing war crimes. What, you afraid of what the ICC is going to do, so you don't recognize them anymore while they're trying to investigate what we've done to other countries? It's just so gross to me, the hypocrisy that comes out when these guys talk, like as if Julian Assange single-handedly put the entire American country into jeopardy by releasing war crime videos of our military happily killing, releasing war crime stuff. Okay. And also the, Hillary Clinton real emails. So that was interesting too, finding out, all that. So yeah. You don't care about the IVC root beer. Where's this cowboy hat?
It undercut the ability of the United States to have confidential diplomatic communications, and I hope
it undercut the capabilities of the United States to have confidential and diplomatic capabilities with who? Countries that you want to take over and put in your own puppet government, Putin, puppet government, like what you're doing with Ukraine now. Come on. We're gonna see the change of these guys. Like, we're gonna see such a big change. Like, we've never seen any stuff about Saudi Arabia and how like horrible they treat their people there and the human rights violations their country has. But watch, now that Saudi Arabia is not using the petrodollar anymore, we're gonna start seeing on the news more things in Saudi Arabia that their government is doing to their people, and we're gonna start wanting to liberate Saudi Arabia, or Saudi Arabia to whatever that place is. Jesus Christ.
It's at least 176 years in jail for what he did.
Some very strong words.
Like
there,
Michael
Gabe.
Bolton doesn't need 176 years in jail himself.
Real. And that is a view shared by a lot of Americans, there's no question, particularly in the political sphere, on the Republican side, certainly, who believe that what your brother did was bordering on treason. What do you say to that?
Well, everything that Julian published it was in the public interest, and he partnered with these media organizations, as John said. So you're talking about all the largest prestige media organizations around the world who publish the exact same information. People like John Bolton, they would like to be able to classify everything so that the public had no idea what the government,
whatever his name is. Did I say Michael Bolton?
It's particularly in the United States now, you're seeing a larger and larger movement for government accountability. People understanding that classification of documents is totally overused. You know, Joe Biden has classified documents in the boot of his Corvette. Trump has classified documents in the basement of Mar-a-Lago. This overclassification of documents so that the public doesn't understand what the government is doing is really a problem for democracy. And you have to ask ourselves, knowing about what our government does in our name is our right and our democratic right. And do we want to live in a democracy, or do we want to live in a tyranny where governments act with impunity, in secrecy, and no accountability?
Okay, let me bring in Will Geddes now, who's a security expert. Will, we've spoken about this before, but
his brother's right.
What is your reaction to this? Because it is a complex issue. You know, my journalistic side believes in free speech, because a lot of what WikiLeaks exposed was absolutely in the public interest. But I do think there were also legitimate concerns about the sheer amount of material that was put out there, which could well have put lives in jeopardy. What do you think about it?
Well, Piers, I'd agree with you entirely. I think there are some aspects of the information that wasn't released by Assange which was in the public interest. But public interest is a very subjective word or term. There is information that does require confidentiality. I work with confidential information on a daily basis. And that information has to be secured for a variety of a very wide spectrum of reasons. And one of the greatest concerns is there was simply a release of information that was not filtered necessarily, I believe, in the public interest. And when we talk about a democracy and about there being access to certain information, that democracy can be undermined by that information or certain information being protected. Now, I do believe in whistleblowers, and I do believe that there is a reason and also a purpose for whistleblowing. But there was information that Assange was responsible for, whether he had acquired it himself or he was publishing it on behalf of other parties. The problem is as the disseminator of that information, he was putting a lot of national security, particularly in the United States, at great risk, and also other members of, obviously, the intelligence community. And that was putting lives at risk. That's what we've got to bear in mind. It wasn't just uncovering atrocities or misuses of power.
Point proven again. Like, why is putting those lives at risk any different than the military-industrial complex is doing on a daily basis to people in other countries? I don't understand. If you want a real democracy and we've got real freedom of speech, then why does democracy have to hang on to the to a string of secrecy as well? Like, you can have freedom of speech and we can have democracy, but we have to keep these certain things free for our own security. For what? So other countries don't know while we're over there spying on other countries as well. Like, you're literally somebody. It reminds me of somebody who is like went on like a murdering spree, and then now they're super paranoid, so they have to do these extra ridiculous things to make sure that they don't get in trouble or caught or busted and stuff. Like, it's so disgusting to me when I see this kind of stuff. And even this guy right here on Piers Morgan's show, like talking about this, like as if we don't do the same, our government doesn't do the same thing to other countries. It's crazy. Yeah, this guy's got lies. Exactly, John. Thank you.
This was information that helps us keep our country safe against the bad guys.
And then there you go. There's the excuse. We have to keep our country safe. Like, our country safe. When was the last time that we've actually had something on our country? 9/11? Other than that, now compare that our one time within the last, let's say my lifetime, okay, in the last, or even a little bit less than, or even more than my lifetime, let's say the last 40 years, okay? We've had 9/11. That was pretty much our biggest thing that we've had on our own ground. Now, how many other wars and bombs have we put onto other grounds? Okay. Now, who's safe? That's what I thought.
The terrorists out there who want to find out about how those instruments of intelligence are used and what is available to them.
Let me bring back in John Shipton. John, in January, President Biden was accused of hypocrisy,
Exactly.
demanding the release of journalists detained around the world while he continues seeking the extradition of your son. What did you think?
Exactly, Desert. Translation, Assange was putting the Clintons at risk with the release of the emails. Oh, boo-hoo, Hillary Clinton didn't get to become the president. Oh, boo-hoo. Yeah, it's not like we have real democracy when it comes to voting and all of that stuff anyway. They pretty much give us the duopoly. We, pretend like we're voting the electoral college votes, and then that's it. That's who really gets what they want anyway. So anyways, so that's with that. Obviously, I don't want to watch any more of this guy because he is absolutely ridiculous. I really did appreciate Julian Assange's dad and brother going on to the show and at least standing up for him in that aspect. So if you guys want to watch the rest of that, that is on Talk TV on YouTube for the Piers Morgan thing. If you guys want to go check it out and watch the rest of it, I think the rest of it's just the guy talking himself. But so now it is 1:30 and we will get started. Hey John, they come all the way over here to implode some building. Yeah, right. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Out of all, let's say in the last 40 years of America, we've had one attack on our soil compared to how many attacks on other people's soils and other people's countries on other people's grounds have we done to them compared to our one. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's get started. Thank you for your sensitivity, Jimmy, and sparing us. You're welcome, Desert Mantis. You're absolutely welcome. All right, so let's get this started. I've got Misty in the background right now. So coming up on April 11th, this Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern time out in Washington, D.C. at the Department of Justice, which is on 10th and Pennsylvania. They're going to be having their Free Julian Assange rally. It is the 4 years anniversary since he has been detained in the UK. And I really appreciate these guys out there doing that. Like I always say, I'm a mom, I've got kids, no vehicle. It's very hard for me to get out and do things. So at least giving them some kind of even a small platform like us with all of you guys, my fam, at least something to get the word out and feel like, we've done at least a little bit of something here as well. So with that said, let's bring on Misty and let's get ready to start talking about it. All right. Hi, Misty.
Hi, friends. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I don't care that you have a small platform, Jimmy. Everybody starts somewhere, and I will talk to literally anybody.
That's right. That's right. It's fucking important. So I totally understand.
Yeah.
All right. So I know I kind of just went through the flyer on here. So talk about what's going on April 11th, who you got talking, what you guys plan on doing, all of that great stuff.
Okay. So we are really far behind because I got sick. And so I'm usually way more ahead of things and we have things already set. And so we're scrambling kind of last minute on this one, which I take full responsibility for. It's really my fault. Which my organizing partners will yell at me and say, "You got sick, shut up." I still feel bad. I feel bad that we're so far behind. But so we so far have, I do believe Max Blumenthal and Anya Parampil are both going to be there. They're going to confirm for sure on Monday. They're like 99% sure. Garland Nixon is supposed to attend. Joe Loria from Consortium News is going to attend. Matt Ho, who is a former North Carolina Green Party candidate for Senate in in North Carolina. He's going to speak. And we have a couple other feelers out and asks out to some other people. Nothing I can really confirm yet, but we're still working on potentially getting some other speakers there. I realize it's a Tuesday, right? Like we went into this one knowing that the turnout was probably going to be smaller. It is going to be a smaller event, just given the fact that it's on a weekday. And it's intentional though. Like a lot of people tried to talk me out of it, said that we should do it the Saturday before, the Saturday after. And I understand that reasoning, but I really thought it was important to have a presence in DC at the Department of Justice on the day. Like that is the day. That is the 4-year anniversary of his arrest from the Ecuadorian embassy. And I thought it was really important that we were there and making some noise in DC on that day. So that is why we chose a Tuesday. I realize it's not ideal for everyone, but that is why we're doing it. And also there will be people in the building. You know, when you protest on a Saturday, you're protesting to an empty building. So there will actually be people in the building, and we have it scheduled from 4 to 6, hoping that as people start to leave work and travel through the streets of DC, they will also see us out there on the corner of 10th and Pennsylvania. So it'll bring some, traffic eyes onto the cause as well. So hopefully we'll get a pretty decent turnout. Again, we were scrambling last minute for this one. But if you're in the DC area or you can make it out to DC, we would love to have you. I always say, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what party you belong to or what ism you subscribe to. You are welcome at our event, as long as you're not like a Fed. And feds will be there. They always are. But they're not welcome. So everybody's welcome unless you're like a Fed or, a Nazi or whatever. So we don't care. If you are willing to help us fight for the future of press freedom and the freedom of Julian Assange, then welcome aboard.
Right. No, damn girl, you got that strategy down though. You got, at least it sucks having it, having it on a Tuesday, but doing it on the day of, having it during the most traffic time while they're there. At least you got that strategy down to get that would get me pumped up to be able to go. Cause at least I know that there are people there. Like when you said you're just protesting to an empty building on a Saturday, I never even thought about that. Like what the fuck is the point of protesting when they're not even fucking there listening to you anyway? They're probably out in, Mexico and, some beach somewhere for the weekend, not even worried about what the fuck you're doing. So that's genius.
No, and that's, and we don't mind doing those because I think those Saturday protests serve a different purpose. It kind of generates an ability for us to come together with like-minded people, to strategize, to network, to have those conversations, to build morale. Because I think rallies and protests are really great for energizing people and making people excited to fight for the cause again. Because I think we all go through these slopes where we're like, oh, this is pointless. This is fucking stupid. Why are we doing this? I have those days on the regular. So, and I know that when we go to these events, I always feel so much more energized because then immediately I'm not alone. Look at all these people out here. They're fighting for they care about this too. And we're starting to see momentum build. We're starting to see our events get bigger and bigger turnout. So, those protests also serve a purpose, but I really thought this one in particular, it was very important to be there on the day. Like I couldn't be talked out of it. Like people tried, I could not be talked out of it.
Right. So what, I watched you the other day on a Warren show, and I know you said the reason why you got into Julian Assange was because you have the hyper focus of your ADHD. Other than, obviously, because I understand I have ADHD too. So I have certain things that I really, really get stuck on. Was there something in your past, in your history that kind of made you, fight for freedom of speech, freedom of press? Or is it just Julian Assange's situation, period, the precedents that it sets?
Well, I was always a free speech person. I was more of a mutual aid person than I was an in the streets activist prior to my work on Julian Assange. I ran a local group here in my community where we did all kinds of stuff. Like we would adopt families for Christmas and buy Christmas presents, or we would pay people's electric bills or whatever it was. And I ran that for, 5 or 6 years or something. So I had never really done a lot of issue-based activism. But I had always been a free speech person. I always believed in it thoroughly. I was a WikiLeaks supporter, like a very casual supporter. I read the leaks and I bought merch and I, donated to their legal funds and all of that stuff. But I was a very kind of a passive observer. And I think that, and it's very stupid and naive of me, and it's mind blowing that I'm saying it out loud, but I think that I always kind of naively thought they're not going to arrest a journalist for doing journalism. They're going to fuck with him. They're going to leave him hanging in the Ecuadorian embassy. They're going to, mess with him and mess with his family for a little bit, but eventually they're going to have to let him go. They're certainly not going to arrest him. And they did. They did. And so when they yanked him out of the Ecuadorian embassy, something about that, and I honestly don't even know what it was specifically. I had been kind of ramping up my support, kind of incrementally, I think through the 2016 leaks and things like that. That was super awesome to kind of witness all that stuff come out about the Bernie Sanders campaign being screwed over and the corruption between the media and the Clinton campaign and all of that stuff. It was very exciting to see that stuff released in black and white. So my support, I mean, I'd kind of gotten more involved, I would say, and more kind of interested in what WikiLeaks was doing. But then when they yanked him out of the Ecuadorian embassy, something about that, like I said, set off my hyperfixation. I don't know what it was, but from that moment on, it was like, no, you know what I mean? We're not doing this. And I think if you know me, you know that I love journalists, and I don't mean like Jake Tapper journalists. I mean, legitimate, like Cy Hirsch and John Pilger and Craig Murray and, numerous people, Whitney Webb and Vanessa Beeley and Eva Bartlett, people who are out there doing the work in the streets, legitimately putting their lives on the line to get truth out. And I love those kinds of people. And so, and Julian Assange to me is kind of the epitome of that. And so something about him being arrested just did not sit well with my soul at all. And it sent me into hyperdrive. And I mean, here I am. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So you have I see a GoFundMe right here. I want to share this in the chat so that way, because it looks like you're pretty much almost there. You got like maybe
so exciting. I had no idea.
More $100. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so talk about what that's going to be for.
Okay, so we had some money left over from the October action that we had. Because I'm an idiot. I went on Jimmy Dore's show maybe like 5 or 6 days before that event, and suddenly our fundraising went crazy. Money just kept coming in, and at that point, I didn't have time to spend it. It's like 5 or 6 days out. I'm like, well, I don't even know what to do with this. So we did have some money left over from that, but unfortunately, and it's always very funny to me when people get mad when activists raise money. This shit's expensive, you guys. Like, I don't think people realize if you don't organize, if you're not in this game, it's fucking expensive. Just getting flyers printed is like hundreds of dollars. And I'm myself, everybody I organize with, we're out of pocket. Like, my husband's here. I don't want to get in trouble. He gets so mad, but like thousands of dollars out of pocket. You know what I mean? But so this fundraiser that we're doing is just, there was a few big ticket items that we didn't have the funds for. We're going to get a decent sound system. We had one in October. It's the first time we ever splurged on a decent sound system, and now I don't think I can ever go back, because it just made everything sound so much better. The live stream was so much better for people who are watching online, and so I don't know that I can ever go back. So we're going to get a sound system from a local, and we're working with all local activist-based people. So we're going to get the sound system. We are going to have a videographer who is going to be on site, and then we're going to be purchasing the footage from him so that we will have all the rights to that and we can use it however we see fit. And then also, what is the other thing? Holy balls. Hold on. The truck, the billboard truck. So our friend James, we've worked with him for years. He is a local DC guy, small business owner. He owns those billboard trucks that you can put whatever you want on them, and he'll drive it around. So we'll have that on Tuesday for 7 hours. He will drive around DC at different locations. Sometimes he'll park. If he sees like a big crowd of people, he'll park and hang out for a little bit. And then he always tries to make it around the Department of Justice while we're outside too. And we've been working with him for years, and any chance we get to throw some business his way, we jump on it. He's fantastic. So the billboard truck is the third one. So we thought we would need somewhere around like 1,300 to 1,500. And like you said, we're at like a little over 1,300, I think. So we're very, very close. I mean, we're going to get all three things anyways. We'll all pop out of pocket if we have to, but just trying to raise a little bit of that money to offset some costs is always nice.
Yeah. I saw the billboard truck with, I think it was Randy was handing out flyers or something out in front of the billboard truck. That was so cool to see that.
He was such a road dog. Like, he did that for months, Jimmy. Months. He was out in DC in the heat of the summer with James, driving around in the truck, hanging out flyers. They would stop anywhere and like they'd see a group of people and be like, hey, you want to talk about Julian Assange? I mean, it was so cool. That was great that Randy did that.
Randy's been a powerhouse for freedom of press and freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff since the 70s, man. When I first met him, I didn't really know too much about him. And then I started working for him a little bit and I learned so much about him. And I was just like, wow, you are insanely intense. I have never seen somebody
He is
who,
really intense.
yeah, yeah. Like
Yes.
if he wants to know who you are, he'll like come to your house and knock
Yeah.
on it and be like, "How did you know where I live? Like, you're amazing." He's boots on the ground 24/7 with
Yeah.
his dog. It does not matter. He's out there.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's how I got to know him, is he saw me doing the stuff that I do and got in contact with me. He was like, "Hey, I want you to come on my show. You're going to come on my show, right? And then we've been friends ever since, and we hang
Ugh.
out, and anytime we can go to DC together. Yeah, he is really intense though, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You got yourself in some good company too. Like, these are definitely some really big powerhouses for freedom of speech. I just wish that it could be brought out into the media sphere even more, to where more people recognize it and there's something that we can do about it. Because
Yes.
it really sucks to see that there is so many people that want to see, you know, freedom of speech and freedom of press succeed in this country. But, you know, I feel like we're kind of like that dog in that one movie where he sees a squirrel and he's just like run off
Yes.
to the next thing. So
Well, and it's not even that, Jimmy. I think a lot of I won't even call it apathy, because I think honestly, the average American citizen has no clue what is happening to Julian Assange. They have no clue how it affects them and how it impacts their life. They don't talk about it in mainstream media. Very rarely. It is very rare. And when they do, it's always with a negative spin. So most people, I've found that there's like 2 or 3 different kinds of people: the people who have never heard of him, the people who have kind of heard of him, but they're not really sure. Oh, he's that WikiLeaks guy, right? And then there are the people who know who he is and have been completely misled and think that he smears poop on the walls and he's a rapist and a fraud and a traitor and a hacker and all of that stuff. So
right.
it's very frustrating, because there is such a media blackout on this case. We're starting to see that break away. I think seeing the big 5 newspapers that worked with Assange on the Iraq and Afghanistan war logs finally coming out with a letter in his defense, I think that opened a little bit of a floodgate. And then also, I think John and Gabriel Shipton and them being just absolute just unstoppable. I mean, they are going across the country again. They did it last summer with the Home Run for Julian tour. They're doing it again with the film Ithaca, which Gabriel produced, and which features John and Stella in their fight to free Assange. And so they're going all across the country, doing Q&As and all of that stuff. And then they're also, I saw that you just had the Piers Morgan interview. They're doing as much mainstream press as they can get, and independent media. They're also doing independent media. But frankly, I mean, we really need mainstream media to start covering this in a real way, not a bullshit way, but a real way. And it's frustrating that independent media doesn't cover it as often. I mean, I realize that I'm probably a little bit biased. Like, I don't think anybody covers it enough, except for maybe Consortium News. Honestly, they cover it all the time. They're fantastic. But most people, like every 6 months, they might do a video on it, or, you know, and it's just like maybe a little clip or something. It's like a 10 or 15 minute segment when something happens in the case or whatever. And we just need so much more noise. I mean, honestly, we need so much more noise, because so many people are just completely clueless, not just about Assange personally, but how I think people don't see the big picture and how this impacts us, all of us.
Right. So with that, speaking of more noise, what is your take on the recent Rashida Tlaib letter with Marjorie Taylor Greene backing that up?
I appreciate the
I know.
noise. I mean, listen, it's like I was on with Jimmy the other day, and he asked me about this, and I don't trust them. Obviously, I don't trust politicians, and certainly not progressives. But it does bring a level of mainstream awareness to this, with Rashida Tlaib coming out with this letter, and I think Jamal Bowman signed it, Ilhan Omar signed it, AOC says she's going to sign it. We'll see if she actually does. She told Jeremy Scahill she has concerns about Assange, whatever that means. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been, I mean, I don't like her, but she's been a longtime vocal supporter of Julian Assange. So I appreciate the fact that it's going to bring more awareness and more, probably more support, more mainstream support to the cause. But I mean, it's a strongly worded letter, right? It is what it is. I'll take it. I'll use it to our advantage, however we can, in terms of getting more mainstream support, and using that when we're talking to people who are, I guess, normies. I think it's easier when they start hearing, oh, the New York Times supports him. Oh, okay. Oh, Rashida Tlaib supports him. Oh, okay. Those people, I'll use it on those people. But I mean, I don't put a whole lot of stock in that it's actually going to accomplish anything.
Right. Yeah, because if it was going to, it would have already. So
right.
Yeah, exactly. That
Totally.
makes sense. Okay. Trying to think. So have you been able to, like, because I've been watching you, I've just only known about your work for the last year, but so have you been able to go out and like visit Assange, or even been able to hear from him at all? You're just doing this from because you love this so much, like there, because I hear through the, or not me personally, but I've heard through the grapevine that it's a crush that you have, and so I want to like squash that completely. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I swear to fucking God, I'm not even joking, and
That's
I
not
want to crush
surprising.
that. I
That's
know
not
that's
surprising.
that's
No,
what I
I'm
figured.
married. You guys, I'm happily married, have been for 10 years. That has nothing to do with a crush on Julian Assange. Do I think he's a fascinating human being who revolutionized journalism and is being politically persecuted for telling the truth? Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Right.
I don't have a crush on Julian. Like I remember one of my trolls said something about that I have a body pillow of Julian Assange. Oh, and they've found pictures of my husband online and then like tried to make him look like Assange or whatever. No, it's not a crush on Julian Assange. This is about press freedom, y'all. And it's so annoying to me that people would say that. I mean, I guess that's not
Yeah.
annoying. It's funny. I
It
mean,
is.
it's funny. It's absurd.
Right.
No, I don't have a crush on Julian Assange. This is, and I say it all the time. It's so much bigger than Assange. This is about the future of press freedom, and frankly, it's about I mean the potential of preventing legitimate fascism. Like, we're already in a fairly fascist state at this point, but if we lose press freedom, if we lose the ability to speak, if we lose the ability to educate ourselves and others, and if we allow people in power to have so much control that they can completely control the narrative and manufacture our reality, that's really terrifying to me. So that's what this is about. No, it's not about a stupid crush. Do you really think that I would devote so much time and energy and money and all? And no, absolutely. For years, no, absolutely not. And no, I've never met him. I've written to him, probably not as often as I should. We don't know that he gets his mail. We know that he gets some. We don't know if he gets it all. Visits to Julian Assange are incredibly limited. As we learned recently, Reporters Without Borders was rejected from seeing Julian Assange, despite the fact that they had been previously approved. So visits with Julian Assange are very sparse, and even with his family, they don't get a lot of time with him. So it's very difficult to ever be able to get in to see him. And I wouldn't even try. I mean, I wouldn't want him to waste his visitation time on me. Like, see your family, see your kids, see your dad, whatever. But yeah, it is very hard to get for anybody to get in to see him.
I think if I had a crush on anything about Julian Assange, is how he was able to naturally get his hair so white at such an early age, when it takes me 4 blondes just bleaches just to get that white. I'm so jealous.
My mom kind of has a crush on him a little bit. Like, she says he has nice, like, he has kind eyes, is what she always says. But I mean, he's just, to me, he's a fascinating figure. I don't think he's perfect. I don't think, like, people say I idolize him or I hero worship. Not true at all. I do think he's fascinating. I think he's incredibly brilliant. I think there's no question about it. He is the most consequential journalist of our time, potentially of all time. And for sure, he's broken more stories than anybody else. And I think that what is, to me, the most interesting about him, not interesting, but the most, he's never gotten it wrong. Like, that's pretty incredible. WikiLeaks has been around since 2006, and they've never gotten it wrong. They've never had to retract a single word. That's fucking cool. Like, that's really cool. So yeah, I think he's a cool dude. I would love to like sit down with him and pick his brain, because he's brilliant. But no crush.
No crush. How much do you meld in with the net neutrality people? Do you guys kind of mix together as well?
We have probably not as often as we should, probably not as much as we should, because we do have very similar causes. I do have friendships with people who are in that fight. I probably don't talk about it as often as I should either. I think it's something that we should definitely be working on, like building a coalition on, that's a little bit stronger than it is now, because we definitely have we have ties, we have conversations, there's group DMs, there's all of that stuff. But I think that we should probably get more organized on that front, because those two things really do go together.
Right. Yeah. With the freedom of press, right along with data mining in the whole TikTok thing right now, and all of that kerfuffle that's going on. Like, what is your opinion on that, with the fact that TikTok, America Right. American government's like, you can't take our data while we take our own data.
It's so stupid, Jimmy. Oh my
Right.
God. It's so like really,
Yep.
really. And the idea that anybody is taking that seriously, given the fact of all of the things that we know and that have been released by Edward Snowden, by Julian Assange, by numerous other people, we know the NSA is spying on every single one of our conversations. Not only are they spying on it, they're collecting it and storing it. We know that Facebook and Twitter and Google, they all give law enforcement and intelligence, the intelligence community, backdoor access to their apps. All of them, they have backdoor access. So the idea that anybody is worried about China or thinks that this is intentional, they want to start problems with China. We've already started issues with China, but in order to manufacture consent for the conflict that they are attempting to start with China, they need China to be feared and they need China to be an enemy. And that is all that this is. They are using this TikTok thing as a way to convince people that China is scary. China is coming for you. They're going to, steal your guns and they're going to rape your babies and all. That's what they're trying to do. And that's what the Restrict Act is all about. That's what the TikTok ban is all about. They're just trying to create manufacture consent so that we can continue to push for a conflict with China. That's all this is. And it's dumb. And I wish people weren't silly enough to fall for it. But y'all should worry about what's going on in your own government. Clean your own house first, because I guarantee you, your own government is spying on you way more than China could ever dream of.
Right. Yeah, I don't understand how people don't see it. You literally can turn on one of your phone apps and you scroll through and all of a sudden you're seeing an ad for something that you and your husband were talking about without your phone next to you an hour ago.
Yes.
You can't tell me. Come on. And then we're worried about China.
Yes, my husband happened to, I think it was like maybe a year ago or something. He was talking about he wanted to go see a chiropractor, and we were just talking about it. And then he got on Facebook, and all of a sudden there's just ads for chiropractors, and he's like, "What the fuck?" Like he didn't type it in, he didn't Google chiropractors in my area. We were just talking about it, and then suddenly it was like all of his ads were targeted toward chiropractors, and I'm like, "All right."
Yep, I know. I hate finding things for my husband. Like, he went to Florida a couple of weeks ago and I had to research the flight because I had to go and pick him up at the airport, and I'm terrified of airports and driving to an airport. So I was Googling and doing all the research for the airport. And now for this last week, I can't get airline ads, airplane ticket ads, some discount ticket ads for airports. I'm just like, come on. I don't fly. Come on.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It is crazy.
It is. All right. So again, one more time, I'm going to throw up the poster for the thing. Talk about it one more time, and then I won't keep you on much longer.
Yeah. So April 11th, it's Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, from 4 to 6 p.m. At the Department of Justice. It's the corner of 10th and Pennsylvania. That's my little corner of Washington, D.C., where they always stick us. So we're going to be out there. If anybody is going to be there and they would like to come help us set up, that's always appreciated. Extra hands are always good. We're going to be there at 2 to help set up. Or if anybody wants to stay and help us tear down, that's also appreciated too, because it's very time consuming. So 4 to 6 p.m., April 11th, Department of Justice. And it is honestly very therapeutic to stand outside the Department of Justice, which is, by the way, also right across the street from the FBI building, and yell at them through a megaphone. It's very therapeutic. I highly recommend it. So yeah, and if anybody can help out with the GoFundMe, we're very close to the goal. That will push us over so that we can make sure we get those 3 big ticket items that I mentioned earlier. And we just need all the people out that we can get. Again, I know it's a Tuesday, so it's not ideal. So if you are able to make it out, it would be much appreciated. We're expecting smaller turnout, obviously. But we would still love everybody to come out. We're going to have some really great speakers. Again, Max Blumenthal, Anya Parampil, Joe Loria, Matthew Ho. I can't remember if anybody else is confirmed. My brain is a little bit fried. But I'm trying not to name anybody who isn't fully confirmed yet accidentally. Because I'm so paranoid about doing that and then them be like, I can't make it. But we do have, we're in talks with a couple other different people. It's just a matter of scheduling, timing, if they can make it out, all of that good stuff. So some great speakers, going to be pretty low key and chill. I think we're going to do a postcard campaign again. That was very successful the last time we did it. So we'll have pre-printed postcards out addressed to the White House and Merrick Garland, so that we can just mail them for you. We'll have stamps and we can just mail them for you. And then, we'll have buttons and all that stuff out there too, but should be good. I'm hoping we're going to have a pretty decent turnout. Again, I don't like scrambling on these things. I like to be very well prepared, and I feel like we're desperately scrambling at this point, but we're going to figure it out. I'm very lucky that I have a team of people around me that I've been organizing with for a very long time, and we all just kind of know what we're doing, and we don't even really have to have conversations. It's just like, yeah, this person's going to do permits, and this person's going to do this, and this person's going to do this, and we all just kind of go about our work. So hopefully it'll all come together beautifully, and it'll be a great event. Looks like the weather's going to be fantastic. So which is always nice. It's always a little dicey in spring in DC, but it looks like so far it's going to be pretty decent. So hopefully it'll be a good event.
Now, for the people who can't make it out to Washington, D.C., is there a channel that's going to be covering this?
Yeah, so Ford Fisher is going to be there, who is an amazing independent journalist. He covers a lot of on-the-ground actions. We have a fairly good working relationship with him, just where hey, we have an event coming up if you want to come cover it. He almost always does. So he has a channel or whatever. It's called News to Share. You can also find it on his Twitter page as well. So he's going to be streaming with Joe Loria being there from Consortium News. I would imagine they will also be streaming it. I think Roar Media is going to be streaming it. So there will be multiple different channels streaming the event, and then we'll also have a replay, and then we'll also do clips of each of the individual speakers.
Cool. Awesome. You guys go and check her out. She is on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust on Twitter, and just give her a follow. Put that little bell thing that shows your favorites, so that way you get all of the little notifications when she posts up on Twitter. That way you don't miss out on anything.
Maybe don't. Maybe don't do that. I tweet a lot, so maybe don't do that.
You do.
I do tweet a lot.
You do. And actually, some of them are really cute. All right. I have to admit, you and your husband are adorable.
Listen, I am self-aware. I tweet too much. I get it. I understand. It is what it is. So that's like where I vent.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So then don't put the little bell on. Just start following her. That way you just get the randoms. And thank you for coming. I truly appreciate you.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me and letting me hype the event. I always appreciate anybody who's willing to do that. So thank you.
Yeah. Go have fun, and good luck on your next interview.
Thanks. I got lots of them coming up. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you all for sitting through this and doing all this with me. I get super, super nervous around people. My friend posted up a TikTok the other day about having anxiety, social anxiety, and hanging out with new people. And I absolutely loved it. So she's amazing. I can't believe she actually even just came over here to us. So super thank you to Misty and everything that she's doing. You guys don't forget to go and check that out. If you guys want to go and watch it, if you can't make it, obviously there's people like us on the West Coast that can't make it. So go and check out those channels. Consortium News, News to Share. Looks like Roar Media, Oz from Roar Media is going to be there live streaming it. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely. I will be in the comment section somewhere out on YouTube watching it myself, giving all the support that I can, all the good juju. So that is awesome. Yes, awesome interview. Love Misty. Great interview. Yankee Tanky, nice to see you. Welcome back, Yankee Tanky. Good to see you. You just missed it. We just had Misty Winston on talking about the Free Assange rally for the 4-year anniversary coming up this Tuesday on April 11th. So that's really exciting. I've also put the fundraiser in the comment section twice. It's the GoFundMe. She's almost there. She's like at $1,300 out of $1,500. So if you can't donate there, at least just share out the link itself to your Twitter page or whatever social media place that you share out to. That way we can at least get her the $200 before Tuesday. So just one less stress that she has to worry about, because I understand when she was talking about having to organize and set up rallies and stuff. It's expensive. It's a lot of stress. You always feel kind of you're behind on everything. Nothing ever goes the way it plans. So the least we can do, the people that can't make it out to the DC rally can at least pitch in some and help out, so you can feel like you've done something, so you just got done work. I have to watch it from the beginning of the stream later. Okay. Yeah, no problem. So that in here, so you guys can even see too, because I'm all telling you guys that the GoFundMe is actually like up there. But if you guys look right here, I have it right here. So it's getting there. Super exciting. People are donating, which is great. So yeah, if you guys can do that, help her out, get it ready for her, so that way she doesn't have to worry about that part. All right, you guys, we got 1 more hour left, and I got some news to talk about, which is exciting. So I kind of wanted to keep it on, fighting back against a corrupt government kind of stuff. Hey, Dingo, good to see you. Your main Twitter was suspended due to censorship, but you can share it, one of your alts. Okay, and awesome. I kind of wanted to keep it with the fighting back against the government, stuff like that. So recently, as we know, last week, somebody went into a school and did some bad things. And so what's happening recently is these children, so they're like junior hires, I believe, maybe some high schoolers, kids, are going to their local, Congress place and are protesting. From what I heard in Nashville, I heard there was about 10,000 protesters, kids protesting to bring in more gun laws, gun restrictions, things like that. And I wanted to show it so that way we can see that these kids that aren't even, of voting age, they're not even able to vote yet, are demanding things that they deserve in their country, that they feel like, to keep their safety. If we're going to hold Julian Assange, like we were just talking earlier, for the safety of our country, why are we not doing this, for guns? Like, I really enjoy what Jon Stewart said in an interview, is that, if you have to register to get a car, if you have to register to vote, you have to do all these things to register. Why do you not have to really, in certain places, not register for a gun? I believe DeSantis in Florida just recently wrote a bill where you can conceal and carry with no permit. So, things like that is just, but then when it comes to, gun violence in these schools and stuff, and these kids wanting and saying what they want in their government, they're not giving it to them. So here's this.
Caitlin Keenahan joins us live right now from Nashville. That was the scene of the protests earlier, empty now, but Caitlin, a big crowd today.
Oh, John, you would not believe it. Imagine this. Thousands of people filling almost every square inch of this plaza, and the majority of them are students. That because this march was a walkout for local schools in the area. I spoke to several students about why it was so important they came out today and what their perspective is on the last week. From Madeline's point of view, things aren't right.
We've done lockdown drills.
She's only in 3rd grade, yet knows this isn't the way it should be.
I just wanted to say that it's not okay for kids to be shot.
Now, this 3rd grader is standing up for her classmates, and she's not alone. Thousands of other kids are standing with her, some in high school.
You should feel safe at school you shouldn't have to feel like you're going to have to go on lockdown.
Others in elementary school.
If more people come out, maybe it would change some laws about guns.
And some so young.
Like I didn't even think that kind of stuff until I was in my late 20s. Like, if more people came out, then maybe things would actually change. These kids are thinking this already. If you think about it, all of us are, a little bit older. Did you ever have, gun drills, gun safety drills in your school when you were a kid? Because I grew up in California. We had fire or earthquake drills for sure. We had earthquake drills at least once or twice a year in my school. We never had gun drills. I graduated in 2003. That was after Columbine, and we still never had gun drills. So these kids, imagine these kids are coming up with the thought processes that us grown-ups are coming up with when we're a little bit older and we've experienced life and can think of these things. These kids are experiencing these grown-up things at such a young age that they're coming up with these ideas so young, of if just more people did it, then maybe more people would understand and we can get things to change. It's crazy.
Mom has to speak on their behalf.
We have to have the discussion about guns and, how they're not good and they can hurt people. And that's a really scary conversation to have with your kids. But
I guess it has to happen at 4 years old.
The organizer of the protest
Hunter safety courses? Would you guys do like gun safety classes while you were hunting in the South? Does that actually happen in schools in the South? You can like have gun safety classes to teach you how to hunt? That's crazy.
Esri Tyler is a college student at Vanderbilt.
Oh
She
yeah,
says
Anthony?
the goal was to get young people to speak their voices.
Students are the most powerful movement builders in this nation, and consistently the
Nuclear
youth have been who's
drills?
showing out.
The
Jeez.
chants of these students made it to the ears of the governor, who held an impromptu press conference in response.
I value input,
2017?
especially-
Yeah, that's
especially young
sad.
people who are engaging in the process.
But these children like Madeline want to see those broken hearts be used to pass new gun laws.
It should be harder to get an AR-15 than Taylor Swift ticket.
Ooh, fire girl, get it. Did you hear that? It should be harder to get an AR-15 than it is to get a Taylor Swift ticket. God damn. Fucking kids out here getting it. They're getting it. U.S. Hunter's Ed in high school? Oh my gosh. I'm starting to find like these schools in certain areas have special classes. 'Cause I just recently found out up here, I guess the schools up here have like this extracurricular thing. They're like a sports team, but they do snowboarding and skiing, I think. So yeah, that's crazy. You guys out in Texas have Hunter's Ed. Someone from the Parks and Forestry Service would come to our school and show us how to use guns, particularly rifles properly. A lot of deer hunters around there. Wow, we never had that in California. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I'm for the Second Amendment, so I am not for gun control, but I do believe gun safety courses, mental health, and a proper economy would resolve at least half of these issues. Gun registration would be nice. If we've got to register to vote and we have to register to get behind a reel of a vehicle, I think that you should register your gun as well. Look, I'm not for taking away people's guns. You know, I'm for the Second Amendment. I'm okay with that. It's just something's got to give. Something's got to stop. Like what John, I hate repeating somebody so mainstream, but like what Jon Stewart says, the more guns that we sell, the more gun deaths that there is. Usually there's a curve when this happens. It usually peaks and then it curves out and it flattens. Kind of like what's happening with the LGBTQ plus community. We can even break it down into the trans community. The trans issues has been so brought out into the open and more accepted in the last few years that we're seeing this rise in transgenderism, which, you know, obviously the conservatives are like, oh my God, there's so many of them and they're taking over. But what happens is kind of like with left-handers being able to write with their left hands, there hits a peak and then it curves and then it's pretty much stays the same, you know, once something gets to be open and brought out a little bit more. So you're telling me that the more that we get guns, that at some point this curve is going to hit, but it hasn't hit. I just don't see this curve hitting anytime soon. The more guns that we put out, that's my biggest problem and biggest fear. So let's see exactly, Warren. Oh, okay, I just read that. I would if the government yeah, they don't represent us. That is very true. It was cool that you had hunter courses. The kids would drive to high school with gun racks in their trucks. Jesus Christ. Why? Some kids would go hunting in the morning and then go to school. Jeez. It is, yeah. The trans issues and stuff, you know, what the conservatives are complaining about, calling them groomers and stuff. It's just hoopla, hyperbole, to distract us from things that are actually happening. I know like right now we're all like in a hoopla about the trans community and the gun safety and everything, but did you know that Israel just bombed Syria recently? You know, we don't know about that. So yeah, exactly. These things are definitely distractions for other things, you know, because we just did a war crime, or we just allowed one of our ally countries to do a war crime on another country, on a sovereign country. Okay, sovereign. And you know, not like we haven't done anything to Syria ourselves as well too. So, but yes, you're right. They're definitely distractions. That was life in the South in 70s.
Conference, he did say that he heard what the young people were saying out here in the protest today. However, he did not say that he would look into gun reform. He did say they would look into added SROs in.
The thing is here I'm gonna read you. That Karl Marx said something to the extent that the workers' rights to arms should not be infringed and should be struggled against if necessary. And that's the thing is like, okay, I'm just one person. That's all I am. I'm just one person. Okay, and that's all it is my opinion. That's all it is. All I'm saying is that. And I'm not trying to infringe on anybody's gun rights and things like that. I just think that they should be registered. I think that there should be, I don't know, fucking Jon Stewart again. I really like the idea of having every bullet trackable, you using your thumbprint by having to buy bullets. That way these bullets are, owned to you. That way it's easier to find out who, putting it more of a regulation type thing is more of what I'm for is regulating these things. I'm not okay with these companies, CEOs, whether it's guns, pharmaceuticals, our food, all of that. I'm not okay with self-regulation because self-regulation brings in corruption because when these government or these corporations do investigations into corruptions, they usually come out with the answers that benefit themselves because they paid for the investigations. So independent investigation, something like that. That's what I'm not for. And also the thing is like when our founding fathers wrote the Second Amendment, there wasn't nukes and AR-15s and all these other guns. There were these guns where you had to like put in a bullet and then put in the gunpowder and then pack it and then shoot it and then reload it again in the same way. Like, so when I think of this amendment being written into our Constitution, I don't think that they expected the guns to get that much more, So yes, I'm for it. I'm for the Second Amendment. I'm just not for this idolization of these guns. The fact that the guns become like a part of your family members, and then like I wouldn't be so against guns is if like these conservatives who take gun pictures with their families during Christmas time go around saying that drag queens are grooming these kids when what do you think your family photo in front of the Christmas tree with all of you guys holding guns is doing? You don't see regular other people taking pictures in front of their Christmas tree with their family and all of their guns. And then you've got like Hooters, or you've got like these girls that dress in like, practically barely anything with like MAGA flags and stuff hanging out at Vegas with parents and kids taking pictures in front of them. So I wouldn't mind if we had more gun regulations and more like registration. And then if we just didn't have this conservative side, blaming us for the problems that the guns are causing. So that's where, yeah, sorry, so long-winded about that. And I like totally missed so many of your guys' comments because of it. I'm so sorry. I am not a Jon Stewart fangirl. I think it was just because he's just been making some really good points lately. I know. I'll stop watching Jon Stewart now. Mainstream news propaganda also helps whip people up to support anti-trans legislation. Trans existence is a lot more than simple distraction. But trans existence is there, it's there where there's nothing we can, it's there. They're people, they're existing, they're humans, so to me it feels like comparing that to Israel just recently in the last couple days bombing Syria is the trans issue is a little bit less important. At least, the conservatives calling trans people groomers is less important to me than Israel bombing Syria recently. So to me, it feels like a distraction. Yes, though that kind of rhetoric does harm the trans community, and which is really, really wrong. But if a lot of us could start seeing it as a distraction, then maybe those people will go away and disappear. They're only getting louder and more boisterous about their closed-minded opinions because they're able to. We're watching them, we're paying attention to it. It's kind of like a dog. When a dog is being bad, or a kid, when a kid is being bad, you don't pay attention to it. You don't give them the attention that they want when they're throwing a temper tantrum, because that just shows, oh, my mom and dad are going to give me attention when I throw my temper tantrum. It's the same with these conservatives. We give them attention when they throw their temper tantrum, kind of like Kid Rock right now throwing his little temper tantrum at Bud Light because of Dylan Mulvaney being the new face of Bud Light and Tampax. Like, oh, well, trans people drink Bud Light too. And the women that are getting mad about Dylan Mulvaney being the face of Tampax, Dylan Mulvaney was the one that came out with the video explaining and had to deal with so much backlash of the fact that people carry extra tampons in their purse because in case somebody else needs it. And the conservatives went off on her, like, you can't be carrying tampons, you're a man, and you're canceling women and stuff. No, everybody carry, even men should be carrying a spare tampon somewhere in case of a bullet wound. Like, have you never heard of putting a tampon in a bullet wound? Like, my husband keeps a tampon in his car at all times. And I know it's for, emergency services and emergency situations and stuff, but at least I know that I've got a tampon in the car if I ever need it. Conservatives make things into stuff and then we pay attention to them, so they get to throw their temper tantrum even more. We need to just ignore it. That's why it's a distraction. You think they should be registered under a government controlled by workers, not a government controlled by multi-general. Agree. That I 100% agree with you on that, Yankee, for sure. Now we got open carry, but schools, churches, and businesses can post sign you can't open carry or they have a right to refuse service. There you go. I guess that's kind of a really good way that the companies are fighting back against these ridiculous laws, so that's interesting. I'm not against the government regulating guns. I'm against this government regulating guns. Touche. I will give you that. I do usually end up talking in a way that's very, hopeful and dumb. So arms are us. I love it. Even the Wild West had no carry into town laws. Dang, see? I would I was legally allowed to have firearms still. Wow. I'll stand for the registration for firearms, etc. once our government is controlled by workers and not multinational corporations. Yeah, no, that makes sense. There's a difference between giving them attention and buying into the narrative. That's my issue with people. Yeah, I agree. They're definitely buying into the narrative. So what have you walked into? What's up, Lana? Good to see you. We are having a very good conversation. Sorry about that, Lana. Hi, David. Nice to meet you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. Repeal the Gun-Free School Zone Act. Okay. I have tampons in my glove box. It's definitely not for me. See? There you go. They like that. It's just the conservatives getting up into hooplas about things that don't even really need to be worried about while we ignore what's really going on in the world. Like, yeah, our U.S. imperialism and oligarchy taking over our own country, the fact that our own citizens are dying and barely even able to survive, But let's get mad at Bud Light right now, like what they're doing. Let's get mad at Bud Light right now. Even like Kid Rock made a video of shooting Bud Light, like people are throwing out their Bud Lights and stuff. Man, but they're so against cancel culture. Like they're all against cancel culture and they're, calling us snowflakes and we need safe spaces and shit. And Bud Light does one little campaign ad with Dylan Mulvaney, who's a trans woman, and these conservatives lose their shit. Biggest snowflakes I've ever fucking seen in my life. I swear to God, needing a safe space, going out and buying Coors Light now, not realizing that last year Coors Light put rainbows all over their cans. Like, y'all are dumb as shit. But you know what? That is their right to boycott. Absolutely their right to boycott. They are more than welcome to. It's just funny to me when they're like, oh, lefties are snowflakes and need their safe space. And then something happens to them and they're like, I need my safe space. I am right now. It's kind of on the, I'm sidetracking a little bit. We're talking, I was showing a video about in Tennessee, in Nashville, Tennessee, right after that shooting that just recently happened out here or out there. About 10,000 kids, high schoolers, junior hires went to City Hall and protested for gun legislation, gun laws and stuff. So we were I'm in the comment section with a couple of people in here talking about gun laws and children's safety and is this a distraction, things like that. And then we I kind of went off onto a tangent about somebody, I think Def or somebody mentioned, is this really a distraction, or is this a distraction, this whole gun thing, which, I was speaking about, trans people do get hurt with the rhetoric that comes out with the conservative community, what they're saying and stuff. Trans people are getting hurt, but the fact that the conservative community is getting up in a hoopla about the trans community is a distraction, because recently, I think just a couple of days ago, Israel bombed Syria, things like that. We've got a war in Ukraine and in Russia and all that stuff going on that are what's really going on and what we really should be paying attention to, instead of conservatives getting up into a hoopla about trans people and wanting to bring a war on transgenderism. And then I showed it or was talking about an example of recently Dylan Mulvaney being the new face of Bud Light, and how the conservatives are all up in a hoopla about that. These are just little distractions that we're getting from the conservative side, at least what I'm showing right now, the conservative side, instead of actually talking about the news. So yeah, I'm falling in for it too. I'm sitting here talking about it instead of talking about the fact that Israel bombed Syria recently too. So I'm falling for it as well. Kid Rock bought 3 cases and then shot them up. Right? You bought the cases, man. That's what I love about some of these people that do these boycott things. They'll go out and support the company that they don't want to support just to make a statement that they're not going to support the company. Like, it reminds me of when Cardi B went and got went up on stage and got an award for one of the songs or something. Like, she got an award or something, and up on the stage she's like, I'd like to thank all my haters, because while y'all buying my albums and talking shit about me, it benefits me because y'all are buying my album. So it's the same thing. Like, yeah, it's so funny how people do shit like that. I absolutely think it's so fucking funny, but I do the same thing too. So it's called hate watch. Conservatives hate the trans women in sports, as do I, but I also saw them making fun of an all trans men team losing to biological men, which is the way they wanted them to play. I'm okay with trans people being in the specified sports and stuff, because if you think about it, like, even a trans woman starting like the whole swimming thing, out of all the women that have been competing and stuff, there's only 1 or 2, maybe 4 trans people in the whole competition. And then once you start the trans process, when you're taking your hormones, you're taking estrogen, yes, you still might for a while have the shape of the manly kind of shape, but not after a couple of years of taking estrogen. Your body changes. And so, men have more of core strength, women have more of men have more of a core upper body strength, women have more of a lower body strength. And that can change once you start taking those hormones. It can flip to the other. So I feel like, if somebody's been on estrogen for a couple of years, I don't see too much of a difference in physique than a woman who's been training her entire life to swim. So yeah, but that's my opinion on it. We all have opinions, and I don't want to take away from your opinion as well too. So surprised Bud doesn't have a Confederate flag can for Kid Rock types. I know they'll probably do something so they can get their money back, because they love that. I know Bud Light has to love their conservative base, right? I agree. Yeah, we really need proper mental health in this country. People are alienated by society, and we wonder why there are so many mass shootings. I agree. I completely agree with that. We're still escalating things with China too. Yep. U.S. and Chinese aircraft carriers have been deployed near Taiwan. The nuclear power USS Nimitz and China's Shandong aircraft carriers are now less than 400 nautical miles from Taiwan. That's right. You are correct, Jimothy. I support China, but no one else needs to. You just have to recognize the importance of not going to war with China. We should just set up state manufacturing of computer chips instead of pushing war, right? Yeah, I know. We're so worried about like manufacturing and production in America, but we're the ones that like allowed companies to go and put our production over in China because they have a lower wage, a pay wage than America does. So yeah, it's we're just starting a war with anyone. Kid Rock is the natty ice of beer. Beer. Bathroom and sports should not be gendered, period. There you go. I like that. Trans and female MMA have now cracked the skulls of 2 women. That's no different than seeing the permanent cauliflower ear that they have for the rest of their lives, or people playing in hockey, and it's like normal for a lot of hockey players to be missing a bunch of teeth. You know, you're in sports, you tend to hurt yourself for sure. You know, I've taught that to my kid since she was a baby. You know, you play, you get hurt. It's what happens. It's just bound to happen. So, but I'm not for violence anyway. I don't really like WWE or the MMA or any of that fighting stuff. To me, the fighting in the ring kind of reminds me of like the gladiator type stuff where they would put people in a ring and fight to the death. It reminds me of that a little bit. So I don't really like that kind of stuff anyway. So I don't really watch it. The violence we deploy overseas is now coming home to roost, sadly, in gun violence here. Yeah, I guess I could see that for sure. Have you ever played sports at a high level? No, nothing past high school. Definitely not. That's why I'm saying my opinion is just my opinion, and I don't want to take away from yours on that for sure, because I'm pretty sure you have a great opinion, and you definitely have a perspective of something that I haven't even thought of yet until recently, until we had our talk about that. So yeah, I'm definitely up for hearing any kind of other perspective. I mean, that's the whole reason why, you know, I'm here, and not the reason why I'm doing the show, but I did, when I started the show, wanted people to know that, you know, I'm only a singular person. I can only think of so many things and perspectives. I try to look at all perspectives, but I'm definitely still only human, and want to see opinions of everybody's and not just my own. So yeah, no, definitely love you to death. I would love to have maybe even bring you on to talk about this. That would be awesome. I know you've already done stuff on Twitch before, so I know you've already been on screen and you know how it goes. So if you want to come on at some point and talk about this stuff, that would be awesome, because I love your perspective. You have such a different perspective than me. So yeah. You have a black belt and ran track from elementary to the NCAA, and keep the men away from our divisions, please. Okay. And keep them out of my locker room. I'm a survivor of 3 sexual assaults. I don't trust men in our private spaces. I understand. Yeah, no, I completely understand. If I say it started with World War II, but I agree, we have a wartime economy. Yeah, very true, which is part of fascism, by the way. Between our wartime economy and corporations merging with the state, we are already fascist. Yeah, if you think about it, look at what recently happened in Florida with Ron DeSantis and Disneyland. Okay, like, I'm not for Disneyland having so much control. Like, it's kind of funny to see DeSantis be like, haha, you know, like, haha, you get no control even though you're a politician. But then if you really think about it, it's not that funny, because he is the elected politician, whether we like him or not, of that state. And if he's not able to make laws pertaining to a town in his state because this corporation owns this town, and they're able to keep laws and make things the way that they want to because of Citizens United. That's something that we've been fighting against for at least since I've heard about it in 2015, 2016 time. So, you know, we might think that it's funny that DeSantis is being ha-ha'd about with Disneyland, but all in all, this is not a good look for America if a company can outbeat an elected politician in his own state when it comes to the laws and stuff in that area. So, and that's because of Citizens United. You know, that's something that we've got to get rid of. So, fucking nerd girls, we don't need to hear from them. Oh, God. It's actually based to crack down on Disney, even though I hate DeSantis. Exactly. That's exactly my point. Like, no matter how much I hate DeSantis, I kind of feel bad for what he's having to go through with Disneyland, because this is not okay of what Disneyland is doing to DeSantis. And yeah, I'm not okay with it. If we're going to try to see the benefit for us when it comes to what we need and, you know, the benefits of the left side or our side, then we need to be on the side of the right as well when they're dealing with the same situation, even if we don't like them. And that's what shows consistency when it comes to allyship and the importance of the it's the issues that we're most worried about and most focused on, and not the people, you know, instead. So I like that. Yep. I'm agreeing with you, Yankee. If a person is fully transitioned, I don't care. But Heather Swanson in my locker would set off my fight or flight. Okay. That makes sense. I mean, yeah. And wait, what did he do to Disney? Let me see if I can find it, actually. So Disney, from the base of what I know of, is that Disney has like made some kind of laws in this town where it's at in Florida. And because it's also bought homes and stuff in that area. And so they made the laws, and DeSantis wanted to switch it up. And because Citizens United is there, which makes Disneyland a voter itself, they were able to pretty much tell DeSantis to screw off. We get to keep our laws. Disney and DeSantis. They had an annual meeting. Disney CEO rips Ron DeSantis over anti-Florida retaliation. Here we go. Let's see if it's got actual, like, you know.
Now there's a new sheriff in town. We've taken away their self-governing status. There's a lot of little back and forth going on now with the state taking control, but rest assured, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis talking about signing a bill last month to give himself new power over Disney in what amounted to a state takeover of the special taxing district. For decades, that district has provided the entertainment giant control of its theme parks and the land around them. But Disney had something else in mind.
I cannot tell you the level of my disappointment in Disney.
Disappointed because DeSantis appointed board members, political allies who were brought in to oversee the new district, now seeing their power greatly diminished. Turns out Disney quietly cut a deal with the outgoing board just days before the state's so-called hostile takeover.
This development agreement essentially strips the government of the government powers and give those powers to Disney.
On February 8th, as the Florida legislature met in a special session, Disney and the previous board hammered out a series of agreements to transfer nearly all of the district's powers to Disney for the next 30 years. In fact, the board can't take action in some cases without first getting approval from the company.
It was done to prevent us from doing our job. And that is offensive to me.
The terms spelled out in one agreement signed by the outgoing board restricts the new board from using Disney's fanciful characters until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles III, King of England.
This essentially makes Disney the government.
I cannot imagine Orange County, Osceola County, the city of Orlando, or any other Central Florida government allowing or agreeing to allow any private developer or property owner to have this sort of control over a government and the officials that run it.
Our attempts to reach any of the board members, new and old, were unsuccessful. Governor DeSantis' office did send us a statement saying the governor is aware of Disney's last-ditch efforts. And in this letter DeSantis' office sent us today, the governor is requesting the state's inspector general launch a criminal and civil investigation into actions taken by the outgoing board. These collusive and self-dealing arrangements aim to nullify the recently passed legislation, the letter says, adding the deal appears to suffer from serious legal infirmities, including, among other things, inadequate notice. Despite that, Disney is standing firm, telling CNN all agreements signed between Disney and the district were appropriate and were discussed and approved in open, noticed public forums in compliance with Florida's Government in the Sunshine Law. In fact, the notes from that February 8th meeting include the notice of meeting that was published in the Orlando Sentinel newspaper on January 27th, alerting readers that a final public forum on the issue was scheduled for February 8th. Also included in the meeting notes, receipts for advertising the public forum. Randy Kay, CNN, Orlando.
Girl, I wish I was a journalist. I'm just a reactionary. Yeah, that's what's happening down in Florida. I agree with you, Yankee. Like, I mean, I don't want him as president. I don't really care for him as a governor either. But, you know, at least he's doing the right thing against Disney, because Disney's fucking bad right now. I cannot believe that Disney is doing that. And then Israel bombs Syria. This is what else is going on. Why is it saying only a month ago? This happened like this week. 7 days ago. 3 days ago. You got one from 3 days ago. About Israel bombing Syria.
Possible, thanks to Europe, to strike at the Islamic Republic's forces in Israel's immediate neighborhood until they return to Iran. Tensions are seemingly on the rise, with sporadic acts of terror occurring in both Jerusalem and the...
Facts are this: right now, Republicans are doing more to fight corporations right now than any sitting Democrat. Doesn't mean Republicans are good, but it's good. Completely agree. Absolutely, completely, 100% agree with that.
The West Bank district of Judea, alongside repeated attempts to breach Israel's airspace, including from Syria and the Gaza Strip, respectively. The first act of terror occurred on Friday night, 7 minutes before midnight, at the chain gate of the Temple Mount.
אתמול לקראת חצות הגיע חשוד לשער השלשלת בהר הבית. שני שוטרי הר הבית שמוצבים במקום ניגשו לבדוק אותו. במהלך הבדיקה החשוד
They're saying that Syria is threatening Israel.
ואף ביצע ירי לעבר השוטרים. השוטרים נלחמו בחירוף נפש והצליחו לנטרל את המפגע. השוטרים לא נפגעו.
Let's see if there's another one that's not Israeli news.
ולא העיב על כל ההתנהלות בהר הבית.
Well, no injuries were reported among the Israeli police and border police forces. The attacker, a 26-year-old resident.
I mean, I know that he was
I have to cover this topic, and I'm dreading it because I'm going to sound like a broken record. Guess who bombed Syria? Israel bombed Syria again. And just to show you like how, look at this, like April 1st, let's actually here. Look, March 29th, Israel bombed Syria. March 31st, Israel bombed Syria. April 1st, April 2nd, and April 4th.
Israeli.
They don't waste any time, right? They don't take any breaks. It's yellow, one day after the other. I mean, this is disgusting. Do you think this gets any attention in the mainstream media? And, I have to cover this stuff because, no one else is going to do it. And I feel like
I know. That's what I was trying to find, was this one right here. Yeah. I was maybe trying to find more of a news one, but yeah, I guess we found the Israeli military news channel first. But yeah, here's the Richard Medhurst one. We probably get off of here after this one's done. I think we got like 20 more minutes left of the show. I'll go look through my Google Docs while this is playing and see if there's anything else.
I sound like a broken record. They're the broken record. They're the ones who keep doing the same goddamn thing, the same crimes. And you know why they get away with it? Because no one questions them. No one holds them to account like Russia. Everyone's focused on Russia. What about what Israel's doing? So just to recap here, basically, On April 1st, they hit Homs and injured 5 Syrian soldiers. On April 2nd, I love this description, an unidentified aircraft likely of Iranian origin. What do we have, a new acronym now? It's not a UFO, it's a UAIO. It's an unidentified aircraft likely of Iranian origin that crossed into Israeli airspace. Would you mind defining Israeli airspace? Is it the Golden Heights, which is Syrian? You know, tell me, please. Pray, tell me. So they say it crossed into Israeli airspace from Syria, was shot down by Israeli helicopters and planes. And shortly after, Syrian media reported explosions at an airport near Damascus, but did not blame Israel. Maybe it was Tanzania. Maybe it was Taiwan. Maybe it was China. Maybe it was Chile. I don't know. Why would you think it's Israel? You know, anybody could have done it. Israeli airstrikes on April 4th killed 2 Syrian civilians. I was literally getting this ready while I was looking up all of these things, and they bombed Syria. Like it never ends. And I want to tell you something. Do you see how this has become more concentrated now? Like it's every other day or every single day. I have a feeling. Again, this is just my analysis. I have a feeling this is a response to the rapprochement between Syria and Saudi Arabia, between Saudi Arabia and Iran. There's a shift happening in the region, and I'm going to get to that in a second. So if you're watching this on replay or you're watching this segment, there will be another segment just on that in a moment. They get angry, the Israelis, and they send the way they communicate is violence, right? So they'll send a message by just bombing Damascus, and of course you've seen in the last year, they go specifically after the airports, and these are civilian airports, and they'll tell you, well, no, Iran is bringing in weapons. Motherfucker, the UK is bringing in weapons to Ukraine. Everyone and their uncle is bringing in weapons to Ukraine. Are you saying like Russia is allowed to bomb Heathrow because the UK is supplying Ukraine with weapons? This is their logic, right? Anything goes. Everything's permissible. We can destroy the Aleppo airport. We can destroy the Damascus airport, which are the 2 largest civilian airports, because we claim that there were Iranian weapons coming in. So what? Let's say it's true. So what? Israel is occupying Syria. Syria has the right to go to Taiwan, to Tanzania. I keep saying the same countries, just to any country on earth to get help. The same way that Ukraine is doing when Zelensky goes around and he pleads for help for his country, for his homeland. Syria can also go to Iran and say, help us. These motherfuckers are stealing our water and they be occupying us for 40 goddamn years. What justification do you have to then hit Syria for defending itself? This is something you'll never hear on the mainstream media because they are cowards. They are cowards. They understand resistance and all. We have to help Ukraine. Everybody has to, buckle up and just kind of accept these higher gas prices. And we have to send them weapons and we have to prioritize that because it's active resistance. But when it comes to other legitimate acts of resistance, ones that have been going on for longer, screw that. Who cares? Here's an IRGC officer.
Using the same example that I always use, whenever we do the war crimes, we don't want to acknowledge, the ICC and, anybody investigating what we've done. But when other countries do it to other countries, that we're not allied with, we're not allowed. So, these other countries are asking for help and we're just, allowing our allies to bomb them.
He was killed. A captain. So IRGC is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and they're Iranian. So Syria has help from Iran, from Hezbollah, from Hashd al-Sha'bi. It's the resistance. It's when we say the resistance axis. That's what we're talking about, right? And I want to show you this. It's so funny, man. Like I've pointed this out before, but I'm going to point it out again. Look at the headline. Read the headline for me. What does this headline say? Syria says 5 soldiers hurt in Israeli airstrikes on several targets near Homs. Okay. Here's another headline. Israeli airstrike kills 2 near Damascus amid series of attacks. Syrian state media. Now, I don't think there's any negative connotation with Syrian media or Syria says or Syrian state media. Syrian state media couldn't dream to compete with the BBC propaganda and the CNN propaganda. Syria and China and Russia and Iran are amateurs compared to that fucking propaganda, right? I say this jokingly, but also, it's half true. My point is they always try to kind of put in your mind that the regime said this. Look at the Syrian evil Assad regime is claiming it's just probably not true. Israel didn't do anything. And I know you might think that I'm singling out headlines. I swear to God, man. I swear to God, pick any year. You're going to get lost anyway when you Google Israel bombing Syria. You will be
I'm up in here reading y'all's comments.
It's always the same thing. And you're going to say, I picked an Israeli paper. It says the Times of Israel. No. Go. You'll see this in Reuters. You'll see this in CNN. Pick anyone you like. BBC, same thing. They always say, well, the Syrian regime is claiming this. So, maybe it's bullshit.
Which right here is he talking about is they're calling it like Syrian state media and stuff like that, which is actually really funny too. This morning, I think that Elon Musk put NPR as like state media propaganda. So yeah, it's interesting. One more thing before we head out of here, I just want to show some really cool stuff that I have been seeing when it comes to fighting back really quick. Fuck. The French, man, the French are out of hand and I'm loving every second of it. Look at this. So apparently about 11 hours ago, they were protesting the BlackRock offices. BlackRock, the BlackRock office. Oh my God. Look at that. Right. Yeah, Rick. Yeah. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and show some more. That is just so cool to see that, though. They also this morning they protested in and burnt down Macron's favorite restaurant that I guess he still frequents to this day. So this guy says, while Emmanuel Macron visits China, protesters set fire to his favorite restaurant in Paris. The French president celebrated his victory in the 2017 elections here and still visits from time to time. Oh my gosh. Here we go. This time they have accessed BlackRock headquarters. They know who's in part at the center of all the world's madness. Watch out, Vanguard. Oh, that shit's great. They entered it. They got in. Oh! They said the revolution wouldn't be televised. They just didn't realize that we would have social media. Oh, I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. Are you serious, Ghost Start? Breaking news, Tennessee House Republicans vote to expel the first of 3 Democratic lawmakers after they participated in a gun control protest at the state capitol following the Nashville school shooting. Ugh, that's gross. It just goes to show that even though the Civil War, the North won, the North won the battle, states' rights ended up winning the war. That's just it. States' rights ended up winning. It's horrible. Down with the war machine, down with the debt collectors, vive la France. Absolutely. I know. I'm married to an Englishman, so so I get I'm French, so like my genetics, I have some French in me, and so my husband makes fun of me all the time, and you always hear like the French are lazy and all that stuff, so it's nice to see France actually being the badasses. It makes me proud of my French heritage. How much did the NRA pay them to do that? Right. Oh, Ghost Starts thing. Oh, okay. I'm like, what? Protest at BlackRock head office in Paris. Here's them right here. Inside. BlackRock. Oh, that's in the building. Oh, that's so cool. Let's see if there's anything else. BlackRock owns $10 trillion in assets.
I'm not even kidding. I used to go to France quite a bit, and I love the French, love France, but I used to get into little tiffs every time I would order a croissant, and I would always be like, you guys are always so stuck up when it comes to pronunciations. However, right now, I'm ready to buy a ticket and come and join you guys for the protest because I completely support you. Now, those of you who still think that the French protests are just because of their retirement reforms and the age thing that Macron has said, it is not. This goes way deeper. So I want to show you guys some images that are coming out of France right now. But for those of you who don't know who BlackRock is, BlackRock owns $10 trillion in asset. They almost own the entire world. Between them, Vanguard and JP Morgan, they pretty much hold the powers. And the worst part is all 3 of those companies.
Right? That's what I was thinking too at first. I'm like, what is this video? Is she hating on the French because she can't pronounce croissant? The fuck?
Have the exact same owners. It's just like this loop kind of Ponzi system. But let me show you.
Right.
So BlackRock owns every single one of these, or has investments in every single one of these. So you've got Pfizer, CNN, Fox News, Merck, AstraZeneca, Visa.
Look at that. I mean, just take a look at that really quick. These are all owned by BlackRock. You got Chevron in here. You got Facebook, Walmart, PayPal, Amazon, Dow, Exxon, Verizon, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, Raytheon, Boeing, Moderna, Charter. It's just everything you can think of. Uber, I mean, Lowe's, you got Netflix in there. You've got everything. Verizon, like Cisco. You've got things from like both sides of the coin in media to uh, Netflix stuff, to cars, to gas, to lifts, to computers, to social media sites, to phones, to the military industrial complex. Like they've got their toes. BlackRock has their toes in literally almost everything. Like even Time Warner Cable is right there down at the bottom. Home Depot. Look at the Bank of America. Jesus goddamn Christ, dude. All of them. Yeah, exactly. All of them huge corporations. Oh my gosh. You don't see White Castle in there though? Exactly, Def. That's the whole problem, is that they dip their toes in every single thing that we need to either live normally, everything that we need. So that way they always are making a profit no matter what. And then we wonder why our history was written by the winners. Exactly, Def. Sounds like a monopoly. Oh, look, a bunch of big pharma companies are owned by BlackRock too. Interesting, right? Yeah, exactly. How it was pushed all over the West. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And plot twist, BlackRock owns KRTD. One day, you guys, when I become rich, just know that I sold out. All right.
Chevron, Amazon, Microsoft, Fidelity, Exxon. They are also responsible, well, not responsible, but the owners of the train derailments that happened in Ohio, Palestine, Ohio. So tell me that,
You're
these
right. Yeah,
guys.
Ghost there. Yeah, I just recently, I think I talked about this about a month or so ago, how BlackRock is actually already right now in talks with Zelensky to invest in Ukraine. So that means that this war is going to continue to where Ukraine is just done for. It's going to be a broken down economy, nothing left. And then all of these American companies, which BlackRock is already Larry, I forgot the guy that owns BlackRock, Larry something. He is already in talks right now, has already been in talks for the last few months with Zelensky to invest into Ukraine. So yes, Ukraine is going to turn into a Western civilization and he's going to own Ukraine. He pretty much already does own Ukraine right now as it is. So yep, you are absolutely right.
Aren't a bunch of crooked a-holes. And JP
Yes,
Morgan, the
thank you,
famous
Larry
bank
Fink.
known for its
Larry
association with
Wrinklesack.
Jeffrey
There you go.
Epstein.
No, Desert Mantis. Lana is correct. It's Larry Wrinklesack. Okay. Got to get these pronunciations right. Respect them.
And also knowing what happened on the island, but they are completely denying it. And there are a bunch of lawsuits right now coming from the Virgin Islands because of them. So let me show you some of the images that are coming out of France right now, out of the headquarters of BlackRock, you absolute French beauties. I could hug and kiss every single one of you, but let me show you them storming the building.
I love the sounds. That's right, Norman. That's right. Yeah, I agree. Ukraine is just a huge money laundering scheme. Absolutely. So this was posted 5 hours ago from the Fire Brigades Union. Scenes of firefighter solidarity at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris today. Belgian fighters have now joined the French demonstrations defending pensions and public services. Obviously, it's a little bit more than that. But here we go. And see, that's the difference. Like, okay, yeah, Xi Jinping and Putin are not the best people. Obviously, yes, they're just as corrupt and evil as any other leader of any other country. The thing is that it's the culture, the mentality. So America, we're very capitalistic, which means profit. And the people that are out doing things in other countries are doing things for profit. So yes, when we go to other countries and we say we're bringing freedom and we're bringing democracy to these other countries, that's not what we're doing. We're trying to deplete them of their natural resources, anything that, you know, they could just deplete them of everything, monetarily, sovereign, everything like that. We want to own them. And that's the problem with the culture of capitalism. Now, like I said just a minute ago, yes, Xi Jinping and Putin are, you know, not the best people. They have their own corrupt things as well. But the culture of communism, everybody is equal. Everybody should be lifted up together at the same time. That culture of that's why, you know, that countries in Africa are so for Russia coming in and helping them, instead of America, which we already have a history in Africa anyway, so that we shouldn't be messing with them anyway. I'm pretty sure there is generations of people in Africa that fucking hate Americans. But Russia just wants to lift people up, bring them to, you know, of course there are underlying motives and things like that. Of course, they're human. They're corrupt just like everybody else. But the culture of communism is to bring everybody up equally at the same time. So yes, in that aspect, I completely agree with you on that. So, yep, you love to see it. That's right, Rick. It is very thrilling. Right. Oh, thanks, Lana. Thanks. That's really nice of you. Aw, I appreciate you. Sometimes I just feel like a reactionary. I'm just sitting here watching this stuff happen. So thank you for making me feel a little bit special today. You're so sweet. Let's see. The French are totally done with Macron. Here we go. Protesters. Oh, they're just still going. Man, that's so cool. They just won't stop. Exactly, Desert. How cool. That is so awesome. I'm totally here for all of that. Man, I wish our country was as small as France was so we can really make a dent, you know? Like I was saying earlier, where there was 10,000 students in Tennessee and Nashville doing the protest against gun control. Like that's 10,000 students, kids that aren't even old enough to vote yet. And they're out there trying to get the government to listen to them so they can get the benefits that they want to make sure that they're safe, you know. But you don't hear about it because our country is so big, and that's where it's really hard for in being in America, where the country is so big, is you can have protests that are absolutely enormous, life-changing, should be life-changing, but you know, you have it in, let's say, New York, out in California, they won't have any idea what's going on. And that's the hard part. That's the sucky part. I really, really wish that we were small like France so we can get things done like that. Because, yeah, I think there's a lot of us here in America that are pretty much at that point right now. But we see the size of our country and we're just like, man, it's just so big. So we consistently and constantly plant seeds in people's heads. That's all we can continue to keep doing, is planting seeds in people's heads until we can get the size of a protest big enough to where the entire country can see it and understand it and be able to fight back too, where it makes a difference, kind of like what they're doing in France. So yeah, I'm right there. Okay, I am done for today. I am past the time. Today went by, I swear it went by super slow, and then it went by really, really fast. I got so nervous with Misty coming in because I get so nervous with people. If you guys missed it earlier today, I had on Misty. She was absolutely awesome talking about the Free Julian Assange rally that she's having on April 11th in Washington, D.C. So go ahead and make sure you check that out. She also mentioned that if you can't make it, there's going to be people that are going to be streaming it on their YouTube channels, I believe. Oz at Roar Media is going to be one of them, which is absolutely awesome. And then a couple other ones that I don't think I've heard of. News to Share, I believe. And then some other one, Cointel Coincidence or something like that. So go look up those channels. That way you guys don't miss out. If you can't make it, at least give them your view, your support, say some good juju stuff. And then I will definitely see you guys in the chat with that. Tomorrow, I will be having Sherry Wise on. I think she wanted to continue talking about the corruption at Norfolk Southern, I believe, or something about the economy of something. I can't remember. Me and her, she'll probably be sending me texts today about what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So tomorrow will be Sherry. Saturday will be Warren and I's secret show. And then I think I'm going to be on Willie Bragg's show on Sunday. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. I love hanging out with Willie. He's a little powerhouse. He's awesome too. So Consortium News. Yes. Thank you, Ghost Start. So yeah, go check them out for that on Tuesday. You guys definitely don't want to miss that. Thank you, Desert Mantis. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Norman, Warren, Lana, Cape Socialist, Lula, Yankee Tanky. Thank you for coming by. Post my Twitter. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can go to my Twitter. Here, you guys want to check out my Twitter. It is Jimmy Saves World, JIMI, like Jimi Hendrix. So if you guys want to go and check me out, there you go. There, Warren got me too. All right, cool. Thank you, Warren. Lana, thank you for coming. Def, thank you for coming and hanging out during the daytime. It's awesome to see you over here too. Who else did I miss? Rick, thank you for coming today. And everybody, thank you for giving your opinions today. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, this is, I don't want to feel like my opinion is the end all be all. And I definitely don't think that my opinion is always the correct one. I do like to see other perspectives. Absolutely love to see things in other people's perspectives and love to hear other perspectives. That's pretty much what life is about growing and learning and admitting that you're wrong when you are wrong. So I don't always admit the fact that all of my opinions are completely correct. I just tend to like to see things in a bigger perspective, and anyone that has different ones just broadens my horizon of my perspective. So thank you all for everything that you're doing, especially Lana, Yankee Tanky, Anthony, Def, Rick. You guys are incredible and amazing. Thank you, Les Bones, for holding down the fort, making it funny. I fucking love you, bro. You're like the awesomest, coolest dude ever. And I will see you guys again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, back here at the same spot. I'm also, if you want to, is it Jimmy Saves World? No, Image Productions right there at the bottom on the Twitch. Go give my Twitch a follow. I'm trying to get that up to 100, so that way I don't have to worry about the Twitch anymore, and then be able to get all those cool little like ding ding dings on Twitch. So I really want to get into that. And then once I hit 100, I'll probably just start streaming on my Twitch channel too, because I just downloaded the Twitch streaming app to where you can get the little ding dings right there without having to put it all on OBS or anything like that. And I might be doing some gaming too soon. So since I game all the time anyway, might as well just throw on some gaming stuff on my Twitch channel. So if you can, Image Productions is just my name backwards with productions at the end. Go give my Twitch a follow, please. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Thank you all for being a part of all of this. You guys are definitely my friends, and I truly appreciate every one of you. Let's go. There we go. Yeah, Les Bones holding it down. Okay, let me get out of here before I start rambling again, because I tend to do that. So, all right, I love you all. Peace.